This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The federal government has initiated criminal proceedings against leading cryptocurrency exchange platform Binance. In a statement from the Office of the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the government revealed that the cryptocurrency exchange is facing 4 counts of tax evasion. The government has also alleged that Binance failed to register with the FIRS for tax purposes and contravened existing tax regulations within the country. This morning, Justice Ojeno, who's a legal practitioner, joins us to shed more light on this particular matter. Good morning, Mr. Ojeno. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning to you and good morning to our listeners all across the world. It's a pleasure to join you.
Thank you for joining us. Taking a look at the charges that the government has filed, the initial charges, what are your thoughts?
Okay, for me, I feel that if the federal government thinks they have a case against Binance, then they should have a fair shot at it. But we must remember, and I must remind people that tax charges are some of the most potent charges in the world, not just in Nigeria. And sometimes the government uses it as its last card when it knows that an opposition is very, very stiff on, and from history, Teflon Don, that the popular John Gotti Teflon Don, that is seen as though there was no charge that could stick. Tax evasion was one of the charges that stuck. Donald Trump too, his business is facing it now. And the famous Alfonso Capone, that it seemed as though the U.S. couldn't catch for a long time, but by the time they brought in tax evasion charges, that was the only thing they could use to catch him. So that said, as far as Binance is given the opportunity to fairly defend itself, because no matter what wrong we think that they have done to us or to our economy, we are still a country of laws. They should be given the fair opportunity. They shouldn't be persecuted. They should be given the fair opportunity to have their own day in court and be heard as to whether they have infringed on any Nigerian law or regulation.
Nigeria is not the only country that has issues with Binance, right? They've been banned in several other countries. There are questions on whether you expect the company to actually come to Nigeria and put up a defense, or you expect them to ignore this charge against them. Okay,
for me, I feel that they should actually be allowed to put in their defense. It's unfortunate that even in the US, they needed to not tax evasion charges but money laundering charges, and they paid as much as $4.3 billion. Yes, a lot of countries too see them as a set of organizations because they are mostly online based, and you can't particularly lay your fingers on them by way of any physical office. So because of that, they seem to be able to easily skirt the various laws put in place to protect the various economies of countries. And I feel that because of that, they've been able to get away with a lot of, in a manner of blue water in various territories, because the world has now become a global place so I feel that no matter what, in Nigeria, they should be given their fair chance, fair shot at trying to exculpate themselves. And if it is very, very clear that they have skirted the laws of Nigeria, they should also, just like they did in the US, be given the opportunity to maybe plea bargain and negotiate their way out of this terrible deep hole that they may have or allegedly have got themselves into.
You know, one of the criticisms that has arisen from this case is that Binance has been operating in Nigeria for a few years now. The fact that this is all coming to a head at the moment sort of indicates that the regulators in the sector, whether it was the SEC, although I know that the SEC raised a warning against them, this was, I think, in a couple of years ago or so. But it does raise concerns that the regulators were not doing their job in the first instance. Do you agree with this? Is that the case?
To a large extent, yes. And we were late when it comes to coming to the party, especially when it comes to most businesses that operate in Nigeria without a physical office. Binance being one of the chief actors in that regard. We remember that Twitter wasn't being taxed, Facebook wasn't being taxed until very, very recently, and they've been doing business in Nigeria since their inception, and they've been cutting away money from Nigeria since inception. And we are very glad that the taxmen were able to propose laws that the legislators put in place to now be able to tax them, even though it was during the regime of the previous information minister, Lai Mohammed, that ensured that a company like Twitter too started paying taxes. So I feel that the regulators have been lax all the while, and it looks as though they now want to show they want to bare their teeth, their ferocious teeth in this because Binance did a lot of damage in the manner of speaking to the Nigerian Naira. So I feel that it's too direct, and that's why, to a large extent, it may look like, okay, we are persecuting them, especially because we in a friendly manner invited them to the country and just stampeded them and like in North Korea would do. So that's why I'm scared for them being able to get a fair treatment, fair trial in Nigeria. But at the same time, we must ensure as a government we do everything that is possible to ensure that they enjoy a fair trial, because we have all agreed. And that's why we have the constitution and laws in place that no matter what a man is accused of, he must not be condemned unheard. He must be allowed access to the best care representation he can get in order to say his own part of the story. And he must be entitled to an unbiased umpire who will look into the side of the story and look on the side of the story of the prosecutors and say, okay, this is my fair assessment of the situation, and whether they are guilty or not should be pronounced accordingly.
So, Mr. Genov, just very quickly, this latest development with the Binance exec Nadeem Anjarwala, who's a Kenyan British national, his escape from custody, does that in any way impact this particular court case?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The only part where it may impact may just be that he won't enjoy the fact of he won't be able to defend himself as a witness when the charges are preferred against him, because as it is, he can be tried in absentia. So all evidence can be given against him in absentia. The only element will be that, okay, some defendants usually have the opportunity to go into the dock and state their own part of the story. I don't see him being able to state his own part of the story if he's being prosecuted, because he would definitely not come into the country. He's already crying. He will probably his PR consultants or employees will from today or from tomorrow start saying that, okay, he can't show up in Nigeria because he's sure that he won't get a fair trial. And we know that too happened to the famous car CEO that was in Japan. One of these, I've forgotten the name of, that was in Japan and had to escape through a music box, and he kept claiming that, okay, we won't get a fair trial in Japan. Renault, what people call Renault, the CEO of Renault. That was exactly the same playbook. Even though by the time we check, it did that, okay, he didn't escape through a music box like the CEO of Renault. So I feel that that's just the disadvantage. Otherwise, it should have just been fair, because they will charge him and they will run his case in absentia.
Well, Mr. Ojenno, thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this conversation. We appreciate your time. Our guest this morning, Justice Ojenno, is a legal practitioner speaking to us on charges that have been filed against cryptocurrency exchange Binance. The FIRS has charged them with 4 counts of tax evasion. We'll bring you updates as the case unfolds.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.